Hey guys, Ann Stocke from Refined Life Coaching here. Welcome, welcome. Today I am here to talk about 4 mistakes that I made when I was what I would call a baby entrepreneur. And a baby entrepreneur is somebody in their first, second, third year of their business. And it's certainly not meant to be an offensive term. It's just kind of in the beginning stages of being an entrepreneur, there's certain things that are more common than maybe if you consider yourself a seasoned entrepreneur, which I feel like a seasoned entrepreneur now. So first, let me just say I'm Angela Stocke. I'm a business, money, and life coach, and I am in Minnesota. And so what that means is I help people with their business, usually get from point A to point B or point C or D or wherever it is that they want to get. And most people who I work with in business coaching, oh my gosh, they have things like, oftentimes they don't feel balanced between work at home. They can't get work off their mind. They're not quite sure what the next step is in their business. So we'll spend time working on that. If you are business coaching with me, I usually take you through just some values programs so that we kind of make sure that your business is really lined up with who you are as a person. And so business coaching is one place I spend a lot of time. And it is probably because I've been trained as a coach and I've also owned my own business. I had a flower shop for 16 years. And so I've got lots of experience with the ins and outs of owning business, starting a business, running a business, and selling a business and employing people in a business. So people will sometimes come to me because of that. So business coach, money coach, and a money coach. What is money? What in the heck is a money coach? It certainly is a new thing. It's when people want to really improve their relationship with money. They want to be really purposeful. They want to have a good relationship with money. There are a lot of people who have lots of negative stories and negative energy around money, and it's not really helpful if you're trying to live a really great life and live in an abundant life, whatever abundant means to you. So money coaching is one area where coaches coach. And then the third thing I do is life coaching. And in the coaching industry, they say, focus on one thing, focus on getting known. Actually, in the online world, they talk about, hey, you should really focus on just one thing. That's your niche. And I focus on lots of creative entrepreneurs, but this life coaching, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. The results that come from people who sit down and have some really great, deep conversations, connecting about who they want to be and how they want to show up in the world, whether or not they have a business, is so good. So when I decided who I was going to be and what I was going to do, I was always going to say I'm a business, money, and life coach. And all of those are really amazing places to spend some time in your own personal development. So that's what I do. But today I want to talk about 4 mistakes I made when I was a baby creative entrepreneur. And again, I say baby creative entrepreneur with like all the love in the world because I help lots of baby creative entrepreneurs. And there are some things that are kind of common in that space, and I experienced a lot of them. So I'm going to tell you guys about them now. So if you want to hear about some mistakes I made when I opened my flower shop in Duluth, Minnesota, I'm going to just lay it all out there for you right now. Okay? So mistake number 1, I have a really great story for this one. Mistake number 1 was really thinking that all of my friends, everyone I knew, was going to come to the flower shop for all their flower needs. Like they weren't going to go to the grocery store, they were coming to the flower shop because, oh my gosh, our flowers were so much better. They were just amazing. The color palettes were fantastic. The quality was great. We treated them with the special Chrysal too so that the heads of the roses never dropped. I mean, I was obsessed with amazing flowers. Like everything about the flowers really, for me, needed to be like the best. I was trying to be the best in the state of Minnesota. So I was doing everything that I could to kind of earn that space. I also wanted to be the most creative. So those things in themselves, they aren't mistakes. The mistake that I made was you get so involved in your creative space, right? And what you're creating, making, building, that you can't imagine that anyone wouldn't want what you got. I mean, you cannot imagine that someone wouldn't want you to do their wedding, or wouldn't want you to do their so-and-so's funeral, or wouldn't want you to do their next event or birthday or whatever it was. So if someone didn't come to me, like within the first 3 or 4 years, I kind of felt this way. If someone didn't come to me, I would spend a lot of headspace on that. There would be questions like, well, why in the world wouldn't they come to us? I mean, they know me, they know the flower shop. Don't they know how amazing it is? Never mind that there were like 11 other flower shops in the city, and I was the newest one. So, boy, I spent a lot of time there. And a really great story to illustrate this is, I went to high school with amazing people, right? And this guy and I ended up going to the same college. And so when I had the flower shop, I was still, kind of friends with this person, and it was marrying time when everybody was getting married, right? So a lot of people came to the flower shop for to get their flowers, and it was something like, for me as a creative, the stuff we were making and creating, I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone wants this. This is so awesome. This is so amazing. What we have is so great. And I remember not hearing from him, like, well, and thinking, how come they haven't called us? I didn't really know his wife very well at all. I mean, I had maybe met her a couple times, but I was like, well, how come they haven't called? Like, what's going on? How come they haven't called? And they didn't ever call. And it was like 3 months before their wedding or 2 months before their wedding. And I mean, needless to say, I wasn't even invited to the wedding. Like, it wasn't that great of a friend, but I kind of knew about it, and I just expected that they would come to the flower shop. Now, just so you know, I was so deep in my like creative space and so in love with the product that we were creating and what we were doing, and truly just absolutely believing to the core of my soul that everyone would just come to us, that when this person never called and their wedding went by, I was just like, what have we done? What is wrong with our stuff? Like, does this person not like me? Is this, like, what is the problem? Now, I am really illustrating an emotional baby creative entrepreneur, really in the middle of their own creative, I don't know, I want to call it a vortex, but woo. So I'm going to tell you something kind of funny. The wedding wasn't even in Duluth, Minnesota. It was 3 hours away in Minneapolis. The bride and groom don't live in Duluth. They actually live 3 hours away in Minneapolis. They got married at a church in Minneapolis, and I'm sure had a reception at a country club in Minneapolis. And so I spent a lot of time feeling terrible, feeling so uncomfortable, like I had maybe offended these people and they didn't like me for some reason, and that's the reason why they didn't come. Okay, so let's just talk about all the things that actually could have truly been happening. Maybe, hey, Angela Stocke, baby creative entrepreneur, maybe they had a friend, maybe the bride's family, who I didn't even know, maybe they had a friend, right, in Minneapolis or somewhere else that they wanted to do the flowers. Maybe since she was 5 years old, the bride wanted so-and-so to do her flowers because maybe that was important to her. Again, that's not really my business, but that could have happened, right? Or maybe they didn't want to spend any money on flowers. They wanted to spend all the money on a down payment for their house, their new house that they were going to live in. Or maybe they don't even care about flowers, and what they do care about is the dress and the cake. Maybe that's where they wanted to put their money. I'm sure that they did have flowers, and some other florists did it, and that is amazing. Maybe the girl works right next to a florist and she's friends with a florist. I mean, anything could have happened here. I spent, as a baby creative, I spent so much time concerned, worried. I made it mean a really big thing. I made it mean that I wasn't good enough, that someone maybe didn't like me, that someone had said something about me, that, looking back, oh my goodness gracious, nothing helpful about that. And if they even heard about this now, they might be like, what is she talking about? So hopefully if they do, it's a bit of a funny story, but I'm kind of looking at my notes here because I think my whole point was, what a waste of time, what a waste of energy for me to be focused on that. I could have been focused on so many other things, but I let it, literally it took time away from my brain at home. And this is a really good illustration of what creatives sometimes get into when they feel so passionate about their craft, when they feel so passionate about their product, their store, their online presence, whatever it is. If all of their friends and all of their parents' friends and all of their community isn't coming to them, it's almost like they're uncomfortable, like they become personally offended. When in all reality, if someone bought if somebody bought some flowers from, let's say the grocery store, you know what? It's really easy to buy flowers at the grocery store. Did you know that? Like when you go there, they're sitting right there and they're beautiful and they're pretty inexpensive. So it's okay to buy flowers at the grocery store, right? But I felt like, oh my gosh, are they buying flowers at the grocery store? How come they're not buying them for me? Even though it might not have been convenient, even though we might not have had the exact same flowers. So the point of my story is, if you are a baby creative and you are listening to this, what I wish I would have done instead is have been so clear on who my ideal customer avatar was. Ideal customer avatar is, who's your favorite person to work with? Who do you love working with all day long? And who I love working with all day long, or who I did as a florist, is somebody who completely loved and appreciated flowers, who gave me complete creative freedom to do whatever it is I wanted. Like they loved what I did so much that they're just like, whatever you do, I'm gonna love it. Just go, here's $1,000 or here's $2,000 for the wedding or whatever it is. So I wish I would have spent more time really knowing who my ideal customer was, because my ideal customer is not somebody I went to high school or college with that lives in Minneapolis now and is getting married there. Like that's not why in God's name was I worried about that? I think back now and think, oh, what a waste. Okay, do you see how I felt about it? Baby creatives are really sensitive. And I am sharing this with you guys so that all my baby creatives think, yep, I might have felt that too. Like, how come my mom isn't buying all my stuff that I make and giving it as gifts to her friends or whatever it is? Well, she's probably not your ideal customer. Like, you got to figure out, who is my absolute ideal customer? Who do I want to work with? Who do I love to work with? And there's all sorts of things you can do to figure that out and figure out who your niche is and feel really comfortable with that, and then find your niche and put your stuff in front of them. And they're like, oh my gosh, I love your stuff so much. I'm obsessed with it. I want it all the time. So that's kind of like a different way of thinking about it. So if I had to do it over again, I'd be really clear about who my customer was, really clear about my niche. I'd figure out exactly where they were, and then I would go and find them. I would put my stuff in front of them and make sure that I was connecting with my true ideal customer. Because again, my ideal customer was not somebody getting married in Minneapolis. That's just ridiculous. I can't believe it. So funny. Okay. And the other thing there is, you want your clients, you want the people buying your stuff to love it. You want them to be so excited to be working with you. This happens in coaching too. Like, I only want people to come to me that are so excited, that absolutely think I can solve whatever problem they have through coaching, right? The same thing at the flower shop. I only want people there who are so excited about us doing their wedding, or doing their funeral is probably not quite right, but people who really get us, or people who really would value what we were doing for them and the creation that we were doing. The same thing. If you're a jewelry maker, if you're a photographer, if you are a flower farmer, if you are, oh gosh, I'm kind of off the cuff here. So if you are an interior designer, you completely want your clients to love what you do and trust you and have a great relationship with you and almost be obsessed with your work. That's the kind of client you want, a raving lunatic fan client. That is what you really want. So if you are again, I'm going to say this one more time, and then I'm going to move on. If you are if you are a creative and it's the first, second, or third year in business and you are feeling uncomfortable because a certain person or a certain group or a certain corporation or business is not using your product, I want you to get super clear on, oh, okay, well, they're not using it. Who's my absolute favorite customer to work with? Who's my ICA? ICA means ideal customer avatar. Okay, so this brings me to mistake number 2. Again, if you're just joining us, I'm talking about the 4 mistakes that I've made that I made when I was a baby creative, and I used to own a flower shop. I had it for 16 years. So as a person who had a flower shop, I was super creative. The goal, again, win the creative world. We want to be the most creative, the best texture, the best line, the best color palettes. Oh my gosh, all that stuff. That was really, really important to us. And we came pretty close if we didn't do it. I mean, I wanted to win the awards. I wanted to be in Minnesota Bride magazine. I wanted to be on TV, and truly, all of those things happened. We were in Minnesota Bride magazine. I was on TV in the morning talking about the latest in floral on the morning show. I mean, all of those things happened. So yay for us. Here's the mistake. The mistake is when you spend all of your time, because I was spending so much of my time truly leading with the creative part of me, with all the creative passion that I had. I was almost always leading with that, right? And I let the business part just kind of stay over there instead of really integrating the two. Especially in the beginning, that's something that can happen because you're like, I just want to make sure my creative idea works. So I got to just creative the heck out of this thing. I got to make my stuff. I've got to make people fall in love with it. And then we'll get the people coming and they'll, oh my gosh, wow, my stuff, it's selling. They like my stuff, right? They like what we're making here. This looks good. And once you do that, you feel so great. And as a creative, you keep making and making and making, and people bring the money, right? So you're kind of trading. The hard part was, or the kind of the mistake was, not putting my head in the business space enough, right? I wasn't really I didn't have a lot of goals around the money part, other than, I got a business loan. I want to make sure that I can service that debt. I have a van. I want to make sure I can service that debt. I've got employees. We got to make sure to pay them. We have insurance. I mean, there are all the things that you have to pay, but in terms of bigger picture financial goals, I wasn't really making them. I wasn't thinking I should really make some financial goals and figure out how to achieve them. So instead of being businessy about the business, about the creative business, I was creative about the creative business, which is great. But I think you got to remember, if I had to do it again, I would be really dang creative. And I would also create space and time to be businessy, because in those first years, you can get going on the creative run, the creative wheel. You can keep going, and what actually ends up happening, what I've seen, is you can get burnt out, because all of a sudden you realize 3 or 4 years in, you're like, I don't know how long I can keep this going. Is this making enough money? Because originally it was real fun. It was real fun, and I loved it. And people like my stuff. Great. I'm selling my widgets, whatever they are, or my product, whatever that is. But it seems like I need to refine this a little bit, because I don't think I can keep going. My back hurts, or this is happening, or my life's changed, or we kind of need a bigger house, or whatever it is. Whatever was okay when you first started, after 2 or 3 or 4 years, you're kind of like, things might need to change a little. What do I need to change? And in my situation, I actually started working on my business instead of in my business all the time. That happened probably at about 4 years. So again, one mistake I made was leading really heavily with the creative and staying there for maybe a little bit too long. Because I think now, what would I do instead, right? That's the question. Again, I would have started working on my business and working a little bit smarter, not harder, maybe in year 2 or 3, instead of waiting for year 4. Just things would have clicked a little bit faster. Okay, let's see. Let's go to the next one. Mistake number 3. Mistake number 3 is, I think lots of people will be able to connect with this one. Mistake number 3 is, I gave it all to my business. I really did. Now in the floral industry, that's kind of common. I think it's common in the photography industry, like when you guys are in your particular super busy time. I'm trying to think. Interior design is all over. Coaches are anytime. I'm just kind of thinking of some people that kind of follow in our community here. Social worker, yep, kind of all the time. Counselors all the time. So giving it all to my business and letting other things suffer. So before I started my business, I had been running like grandma's half marathon and just eating really healthy and kind of on a schedule. Then when I started the business, I was like, oh my gosh, everything else went to the wayside. And I was just so focused on the business, which was really fun. It felt so good. Being creative for me feels so good and so easy. It's like flow. It's just easy and lovely. So you definitely let other things go. Like I kind of stopped running and I pretty much stopped really focusing on super healthy foods. And the next thing you know, you're so busy because you focus so much on your creative business, you're eating Coney Island hot dogs. God bless you guys down to Coney Island, but I should not have been eating your hot dogs. I shouldn't have been eating them. That's not what my body wants. Maybe once a year. They're delicious. Coney Island. Hey, George. Anyway, so that is something that happens when you're giving it all to your business. Another thing is in the floral industry, particularly, and maybe in all of our industries, we have something we do that is repetitive, like repetitive motion. So either sitting here on your computer or standing and like hunching over and putting the eyelashes on, or whatever it is you do, I'm sure there's some sort of repetitive motion involved. I didn't pay as much attention to the people who said, hey, you really want to, like, every 10 minutes, you want to take a stretch, you want to do this, you want to, I don't know, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, do some yoga at your desk, you want to stand, you want to sit, you want to move around. Definitely let that go. Instead, I let the creativity just walk me wherever it was going to walk me. And sometimes it like drug me along. So if I had to do it again, right, what would I do instead? I would really focus on self-care once a week. I would, even if I didn't feel like I could like move a ton, or I wasn't feeling like, oh, I want to go for a run every other day this week. Even if it wasn't that, I would do something like, okay, 1 week I'm going to get a massage. The next week I am going to do some yoga. The next week I am going to, like, just fitting it into the fabric of the calendar. That would have been wise. I was very much all or nothing. It's another kind of, perfectionistic tendency that happens with lots of creatives. I was very much all or nothing, and I would just say, well, if I can't train for a marathon, why am I even running? Well, there's a whole bunch of other reasons why it's probably good to get a jog in. But I couldn't see that very well then. It didn't seem like it was of value. And so I stayed in that creative space, and I let my body go. I let my physical health go. Emotional health, did I let that go? Not very much. Not very much, although I was deep in the creative vortex. Spiritual, I didn't let my spiritual self go. So anyway, I wish I would have integrated some movement and some self-care into the fabric of my month, whether it was twice a month or 3 times a month or 2 times a week or whatever it was. That is absolutely a mistake. Okay, mistake number 4. You guys ready? Mistake number 4 for me, it was so easy to work in my business. It was easy for me to make the flowers. When we say make the flowers, we would be making our arrangements, and I loved it, and it was just cake. It was just amazing and beautiful and so fun. And it was easy to talk to people, like when they came in. It was easy to teach. We taught lots of classes, easy for me to teach. easy for me to communicate with employees for the most part, most of the time. Easy for me to like create events and create parties and create marketing around those events and parties. Easy for me to go to business meetings. Like all that stuff was so easy. And that was me working in the business. I wish instead I would have integrated working on the business right away. I didn't start working on the business until about 4 years, I would say 4 years. And working in the business looks like, hey, I have this to do. I'm going to do this task. I'm going to do this task. Oh, there's an employee here and they could do that task, but probably I'll just do it faster and I'll do it better. So why don't I just quick do it? I'll just quick do it. You do what you're doing over there. I'll just quick do this. Instead of leveraging my time and figuring out how to work smarter, not harder. And working on your business looks like, hey, what are our goals? What are our financial goals? What are my goals for balancing my business and my home life? What what do I actually think this business can do? What's the end game here? Like, how long is my business going to be around? What's the plan? Am I going to sell it to somebody? Do I want to prepare to sell it to somebody? Or do I want to shine this thing up and just let it go, go, go? Do I want employees? What do I want my life to look like in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? And how does this business fit into that? So coming up with some, thinking about the future a little bit. I loved just every day was so fun. And I mean, it was great. What I would have done instead of that is I would have made time to work on it. And so I have created for you guys, and some of you may have seen this before, but I've created for you guys a PDF that is kind of like a business scorecard. So regardless of whether you have a creative business or any kind of business or multiple businesses, I've created this thing called the Wheel of Work, Entrepreneurial Wheel of Work, and it's a scorecard for your business. It's really visual, it's fun to do. And I should put it in the little comments here, www.amstocky.com/wheel-of-work. Okay, enter. Okay, so you guys can go there and you can download it and do it. Why I like it is the one tool that would have really helped me figure out what my true next priorities were, because I spent so much time just hanging out in the do and the work in your business instead of the work on your business. And it would have benefited me greatly to have this tool. So I've created it for you because I want you guys to have that now. And oh, it looks like the UPS. Oh, the FedEx man is here. Okay, sorry for the distraction. I would love for you guys to download this and take a look at it. It's self-explanatory. It has instructions right on it, and it is a couple pages. It's something that you might want to do Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Get your tea and get your favorite pencil and start writing. But it really helps you get a handle on what's happening in your business and what you want to happen. So my first hint or tip is, oh my gosh, don't be afraid of it. Especially if you're just starting out and it's your first, second, or third year and you are a baby creative entrepreneur. This is like helpful so you know what is next. Like, what are my next best physical actions to get where I want to go? Because your next best physical action, it isn't always like, oh, just do that little thing over there or make that thing or create that thing. Those things are pretty easy. Usually your next best physical action to get your business where you want it to go doesn't have much to do with working in your business. It has very much to do with working on your business. And this tool will help you work on your business. It's kind of a DIY coaching tool. So I've created for you. It's completely free. Go to anstocke.com/wheel-of-work and take a look at it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to, you can post them in this Facebook Live, or you can always text me or email me or get a hold of me however you like. Okay, I'm gonna see if this will let me, yeah, there it is. Okay, the Wheel of Work is right there. Just so you guys know, all of these videos are being housed on, oh gosh, what's it called? YouTube. They're being housed on YouTube, so you can go to Angela Stocke's YouTube channel and you can go rewatch these. Or if you like Facebook, some of them are at Facebook as well. Okay, gang, I hope you have a really great week. I hope this was helpful. The goal is for you to hear about the mistakes I made and then hopefully consider not making them yourself if you can help it. I know it's hard sometimes to hear that in your first couple years of business, but these are the things I wish would have been different. All right, everybody, enjoy the week. I'll see you next week, next Tuesday. And next Tuesday, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. You guys, as always, you can give me an idea if there's something that you want to know, something that you want me to talk about. I might actually talk about what it's like to coach because people have been asking me about that lately. So it might be a little coaching 101 next week. So, all right. See you later, guys. Bye.